It all began with a casual conversation at work when one of my colleagues mentioned how affordable and accurate home DNA kits had become. At first, it sounded like a fun way to learn about my ancestry, but something deep inside nudged me toward testing my children as well. It wasn't suspicion exactly, but a quiet voice that had been whispering for years, questions I'd always pushed away. So, I ordered the kits without telling anyone, thinking it would just be an interesting family activity. The results came in weeks later, and I opened them with a smile. But as my eyes scanned the screen, my world collapsed. The first child, no genetic match. I blinked, thinking it must be a glitch. I checked the second child, again, no match. My hands began to shake as I checked the third, then the fourth. None of them were mine. 20 years of love, memories, and fatherhood unraveled in an instant. I sat there staring at the screen, numb, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. My mind replayed every moment I had ever spent with them, the first steps, the bedtime stories, the scraped knees, the birthday parties. How could they not be mine? How could she do this to me? I felt a cold wave of betrayal wash over me, leaving me shivering despite the heat of the room. When I confronted my wife that evening, she didn't deny it. She didn't even cry at first. She just sat there, her lips trembling, eyes darting away from mine. Finally, she said she'd made mistakes, *years ago*. Mistakes that had lasted not one night, but many. She admitted there had been another man, someone she claimed she loved at the time. She swore she never meant for it to go this far, but her words sounded hollow, empty, like they were rehearsed. The weight of 2 decades crashed down on me. I thought about the sacrifices I'd made, working late nights, taking extra jobs, missing time with friends, just to give our children the best life possible. And now I realized, every bill I paid, every gift I bought, every dream I helped them chase. I had been doing it for another man's children. My blood boiled with anger and grief, the two emotions tangled so tightly I couldn't separate them. The days after the revelation were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with me while hiding the truth. I heard her calling me the best father to kids who weren't mine. I wondered how many times she had almost told me, and how many times she had chosen silence instead. Silence was her weapon, sharp enough to cut my life in two. When the children found out, the reactions were mixed. The eldest refused to believe it at first, accusing me of trying to tear the family apart. The younger ones cried, asking me if I still loved them. And in that moment, I realized something. My love for them was real, even if the blood wasn't. They were innocent. My wife's betrayal was hers alone, not theirs. But that truth didn't make the pain any less crushing. I decided to separate from her. Staying in the same house felt like living in a graveyard of trust. I moved into a small apartment, taking only my clothes, a few books, and the photographs that didn't hurt too much to look at. She tried to call, to meet, to apologize again, but every word felt like poison. I didn't want her regret. I wanted my life back, the one she had stolen without my consent. Some nights, I'd stare at the ceiling, wondering if the other man ever knew. Was he living his life somewhere, blissfully unaware that his children had been raised by another man? Or had he known all along, laughing at my expense? I wanted to find him, to look him in the eye and ask him if he thought this was fair. But then I realized, nothing could undo what had been done. Friends told me to forgive, to move on, but they didn't understand. Forgiveness wasn't a key I could just turn. My marriage wasn't broken, it had been an illusion from the start. I hadn't been her partner, I had been her cover story. That thought haunted me more than anything else. I wasn't just betrayed. I was used. In the months that followed, I tried to rebuild myself. I focused on work, on hobbies I'd abandoned, on friends I hadn't seen in years. Slowly, I started to feel like a person again. But the scars were deep, and they weren't going away. I learned to live with them, like old wounds that ache when the weather changes. The children still visit me, and I still help them when they need it. But things aren't the same. There's an invisible wall now, one built of DNA and broken trust. I wish it wasn't there, but it is, and it will always be. They hug me, they call me Dad, but somewhere in the back of my mind, the truth whispers, reminding me of what I lost. As for my wife, she's no longer part of my life. I don't know if she's with him now, or if she's alone, and I don't care. Her betrayal was huge, not just in scale, but in depth. It wasn't one act. It was 20 years of deception, 20 years of letting me believe a lie. A simple DNA test had taken seconds to process, but it had destroyed decades of my life. People say the truth sets you free, but this truth didn't free me, it buried me. And now, I'm just trying to climb out of the wreckage, one day at a time, carrying the weight of a family that was never really mine.